Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 81 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for November 2023. My name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, and editor here at the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me today here in person, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Pearson. Tim, how you doing?
I'm good, John. Kind of a rainy, nasty day outside, but I'm glad we're inside and working today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're so glad you guys could join us for some Texas Rangers post-game talk. Oh, I mean Arcade Repair Tips. Sorry. In case you guys didn't know, the Texas Rangers won the World Series about, a week ago today? Actually, It was a week ago yesterday. And I've been over the moon about it, and so has Tim. So we've got our stuff on tonight, kind of celebrating the win. Just had a really awesome last month, Tim, I would say. It was really fun. We've had our chances. We were one strike away twice back in 2011, and baseball, as it likes to do to Ranger fans a lot, it just broke our hearts. But here we are, Tim. We're at the top of the mountain. I'm very happy about it. I literally, when it happened, I broke down, just kind of laid on the floor for about a full minute and cried and laughed and everything. What about you, Tim? How was your reaction?
It was... I think it was shock more than anything. It's like, is it really true? Is this the last game? And then maybe even a little bit of a letdown. You get they won. Oh, we don't get to see a game tomorrow night. Exactly. And we didn't get to go.
So we had tickets to Game 6 of the World Series. Me, Tim, and another friend of mine, we were going to go had they not clinched last Wednesday. So it was kind of disappointing in the fact that we didn't get to see it. But at the same time, it happened, and we're happy. So I'm just so glad that happened. But we will actually be talking about Arcade Repair Tips tonight. Don't worry. We will save more Ranger talk for the after show, which happens directly after this show. So if you guys want to tune in for some of that, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I got to go, just real quick, Tim, I did get to go to Game 3 of the ALDS, which was against the Rays. I got to go to... against Baltimore. Right. And I got to go to Game 5 of the ALCS, which was the one against the Astros. And so I had a really good time at both those games, even though one we won and one we lost. Still had a good time. And, we were really looking forward to going to a World Series game. Just didn't happen. It is what it is.
Yeah, but we were pretty happy, right?
Absolutely.
So I think, like I said, it was just a shock, and then it was just like, wow, we really did. We finally did it. So
I mean, obviously,
exciting.
We're not Houston Astros fans, right? I mean, we'd be, because of all the things. I've been a Texas Rangers fan for a long time, and obviously our world headquarters is in Texas, Tim.
Right.
So we're very excited about that, and we're so glad to celebrate a victory, and we're also glad that you guys are here with us to talk about some arcade repairs. So we'll get started in that, but I do want to remind everyone that if you would like to interact with us during the show, you may do that in the live chat. And Tim, we already have people in there. We got Delusionals Arcade says hi. Mr. Dwayne is here. Tim, Jumping General is here. YouTube Punk is here. Big D Retro is here. Let's see. Robbie J says congrats. So Thank you, Robbie J. And then YouTube Punk says, South Texas is rainy and chilly. Makes me want to hibernate, Tim.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, unfortunately, we're kind of rainy today, and it's been nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is kind of the first day where we've had some rain, and I was seeing on the news, Tim, I think they said that by this time we typically have at least an inch, and we hadn't had any all month, which, I mean, it's only been a week, but still.
Yeah.
So, it is nice to get some rain. Unfortunately, it does make the weather... It does make us a little bit maybe sleepier and than what we'd normally be, but it is what it is. So, but we have a lot of questions to get to tonight. But we like we said earlier, if you guys want to interact with us, feel free to leave those questions in. Tim, we already answered some from Nate up above. I actually answered those in the live chat, Nate, so you may want to check those out. And then Jumping General is also here. He says, hey guys, it's almost 2024 and the Arcade Repair Tips channel is still going strong. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Jumping General. We appreciate that, and we're so glad that you're here with us tonight. Tim, literally, I feel like the impossible is now possible, and that hell has frozen over, Tim. I literally feel like that. Over the last week, I still can't believe that all this is real. So, if it's possible for the Rangers to make a World Series, Tim, anything is possible. To win the World Series, anything is possible for sure. So, I am now firmly in the camp of anything being possible. So, But guys, I think we are caught up on all of the live chat stuff for this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and move into first an update from Chris. Now, Tim, we had an email from Chris about his Miss Pac-Man, and I think we actually diagnosed it as more of a board issue, but it could have been power supply. I think we were leaning kind of either way on that. And so let me go ahead and put up Chris's update here for everyone to see. He says, "Thank you for going over my question on the show. I fixed the issue with my Miss Pac-Man by installing a new switching power supply. I have around 20 games that I have collected over the years. This repair has given me the confidence to now repair 6 other games that I had down. This was the first time in my life I have written into someone for help. It was nice to hear my problem discussed by 2 experts." Now, Tim, I think he's using that term very loosely.
Yeah, I don't know who else he talked to, but I'm glad that he emailed us. Right?
There you go. I may write again for help in the future, and we'll look at joining the community. I also appreciate both of you offering to help others in their time of need outside of just arcade repair. God bless you both. Sincerely, Chris. So there you go, Tim. It's always good to get updates from people. I love getting the updates back that you guys actually did fix your games, or that whatever we told you to do worked. And so in Chris's case, Tim, nice switching power supply install in there, and he's back up and running.
Yeah,
so.
and it motivated him to do more stuff. Always like that. Fixing games kind of motivates me to do all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I never would have dreamed, like a washer or a dryer or a garage door opener, or there's stuff that I fixed because I wasn't afraid to try it because of my knowledge in repairing arcade games. It kind of spills over into other things. So we're happy to hear that not only did you get that game fixed, you got several games fixed.
Absolutely. So, and if you do need additional help in the future, please contact us. Easiest way to do that, guys, as a reminder to everybody, questions at arcaderepairtips.com. Send those questions in there, and we will get to them when we can. So, great to hear from Chris. Thanks again for writing in about your issue, and we're glad that you got it all solved. So, and with that in mind, Tim, let's go ahead and let's move into solving some other questions tonight as best we can. And the first one we have here is from Jim. So let me put Jim's up here, Tim. "Hello, I moved my Buck Hunter 2006 Call of the Wild game this weekend. When I plugged it back in, the screen came up like this." And Tim, as you can see, he actually sent us a picture, which we always appreciate the pictures. Thank you so much for that, Jim. "Do you have any ideas? If it's a part that is bad, can I buy it from you? Thanks, Jim." So Tim, before we get to the meat of Jim's question, that second part I can answer. Unfortunately, we do not sell parts here. So if you need a part, we have a lot of parts suppliers on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. If you will go there, then you'll have a list of parts suppliers. But there are several that we recommend. Of course, we love Holland Computers a lot. RetroArcade.us is also their website. We also like Arcade Parts and Repair. Tim, there's so many that if I sit here and list them all, I'm going to forget some. Twisted Quarter is obviously one, Tim, that we like a lot. So there's so many on the resources page. We just highly recommend you check that out. Again, type it in your web browser, arcaderepairtips.com/resources, and you will get that full list. Now, Tim, let's talk about his actual issue. Now, I'm going to put it back up here so people can see. Tim, his screen is looking pretty wacky.
Yeah.
So what do you think's going on with Jim's screen here that happened whenever he moved this game? Tim, we all know the dangers of moving games.
Right. And it just moved it a little bit, didn't he say? And so, this often happens. Basically, his game is out of sync. In other words, the monitor is not lined up like it was. And it's usually an easy fix. Sometimes you can just adjust it back out. Sometimes you have to touch up the solder joints, which really, in this case, the fact that he moved it, I'm sure his pots didn't turn much, but it probably is a cold solder joint, so he needs to make sure and touch up those soldering areas in the sink area. Other than that, it's probably an easy fix. Just readjusting maybe the horizontal hold or the vertical hold. We have videos on how to deal with sink issues that he might want to look into.
Yeah, we have a video on adjusting an arcade monitor, which would definitely be the first place to start, I feel like. Because, Tim, like you said, although the pots may not have moved much, it doesn't take much for those things to get out of alignment. And so definitely want to check with our video on adjusting an arcade monitor first before moving on. But outside of that, Tim, I did put some other things on the outline, and so it does look like it's out of sync, like Tim mentioned. Start off by checking the sync wire that runs from your game board to the monitor to make sure it's making a good connection. If the wire itself is connected properly, you may need to touch up the solder on the sync pin on the monitor chassis, as it may be cold, cracked, and or broken. So, Tim, there is a sync wire in the video section of the harness, typically, that runs from the game board to the monitor. And most often we've seen this kind of problem. It's either because, like Tim mentioned, it's either because it came out of adjustment, or it's because that sync wire is not making a good connection. So let's try to adjust the monitor. Let's try to get the sync, or let's try to adjust the pods, like hold and sync pods on your monitor. Then let's also try to make sure that that sync wire is connected properly to the monitor chassis. Now, if you continue to have sync issues after this, you might want to touch up any other solder joints that look suspect on the monitor chassis. So if you're going to pull the monitor chassis out, go ahead and look for any other cold, cracked, and or broken solder joints. Make sure that all of those have been touched up. We would also recommend doing a cap kit if you have the monitor out anyway. This is always just a good rule of thumb because, you know, Tim, bad caps can cause all sorts of issues, and if I'm going to pull my monitor chassis out and it's been, you know, yeah, it's been a while, exactly, might as well do it while we have it out. So if you need additional help, though, if you will get back to us with a picture of the back of your monitor, we can probably give you a better clue as to what's going on, because once we know the make and model, from there we can give you a lot better troubleshooting. That's always a key, Tim, is knowing a make and model of a monitor. So if you need additional help on that, please let us know. Now, I should say, though, that Jim did write back and said he got the sync issue fixed, but now it looked like he had a different issue. And so, Jim, we will be getting back to you about that. I think it looked like something on the boot sequence, Tim. Like it wasn't booting up properly. So I didn't get a whole lot of time to look at it, Jim, because I kind of sent Jim that I sent him an email that we were covering his question. He kind of shot it right back real quick. And so I haven't had time in the interim to kind of look at his email back. But I know that he at least got the sync issue solved. Hopefully we can help you out with whatever little startup issue that you're having with the game as well. But just as a general rule of thumb, Tim, for having startup issues like that, probably need to check our power supply, right?
For sure. We always start at power. And that's where we want to make sure that it's actually getting the right voltage and able to kind of kickstart it or whatever it needs, the right voltage to process.
Absolutely. So, Jim, we will be getting back to you with a little bit more detail than that, but that gives you a really good place to start on this. So now that the sync issue is out of the way, let's check the power supply first, make sure that voltage is real good, and we'll send you back some other troubleshooting procedures that you can use once we've got a chance to actually go through the rest of your email. So, but we're glad that you at least got the sync issue solved, Tim. And a lot of times when you move a game and it goes out of sync, could just be a little pod adjustment, could just be like a little sync wire kind of connection issue or something like that. So we're glad that you got it back up and running in that way, and hopefully we can help you out with your startup issue here in a bit. So, okay, Tim, looks like we're still caught up in the live chat. So so we'll go ahead and move on with the outline tonight. So the next question we have is from, hang on a second. Nate just wrote in, Carnival monitor pictures looking lost. Yellow lost colors. Hitting brings it back. Color solder joint on the neck board. Yeah,
yes.
So yellow is usually not a dedicated color. It's usually, we have the RGB are the colors that we usually have on most CRTs. There are some that actually carry a yellow line. It's rare. But if you're missing yellow, it's probably because your green and your blue may be having issues, right? Because green and blue make yellow. Am I right in that?
Correct.
Is that how that works? Okay. I don't know. You see, my primary, secondary colors, it's been a while since I've had art class, guys. So, yeah, so there may be something in the green or blue line. Check those color transistors, of course. That's like the very first thing to check. Check all of the color wires coming from your game board to your monitor chassis. Make sure everything's making a good connection there as well. And then some monitors, of course, have transistors not only on the neck board, but also on the main chassis, so make sure you check both sets, right?
Yes.
Anything else?
Very good.
Okay. Let's see, jumping general, I have a Bestech 25-inch monitor not working. I hear those monitors are difficult to repair and keep going. Any thoughts? We don't have a lot of experience with Bestech. What I would probably do is refer you to one of our monitor repair guys. Specifically, Paul Duray would probably be the best guy to contact about that, because he could give you a little bit more information on those. Again, just not a whole lot of experience with Bestech stuff as a whole. So, but like I said, Paul will probably have a pretty good idea of what it would take to get it going, or how difficult it would be to fix. So if you want to know, paulsmonitors.com, guys, if you want to check that out. Angelina, what website would you recommend to get a new PCB blanks, unpopulated PCB reproductions? So, there's not, the only ones that I know that are available are basically the ones from Atari. Atari has like the Black Widow ones we've talked about in previous live shows. If you want to get a totally unpopulated PCB, somebody would have to have all of the, they'd already have to have all that mapped out and be able to basically create it for you. And so I don't know if there's a website. You could always contact a PCB production house. Tim, we've done a lot of electronic board we've actually done some PCB like print circuit boards in the past, And it's usually very expensive, unfortunately, especially if you just want a one-off.
Right.
It'd be very expensive for you to get, just a one-off, like, unpopulated PCB. But you could contact some of these PCB production houses, and they could give you a price on it. If there's copyright involved, if it's not out of copyright yet, they probably won't do it. So the thing about Atari, of course, is that they license all of that. And Tim, they use a third-party service for that as well. And I can't remember the third-party service they use at the moment. But you could try contacting them and see if they would do something like that, considering they already have experience with the Atari PCBs. That would probably be the way to go.
A lot of it would depend on the game.
Yeah, agreed. And like I said, it depends on if it's still in copyright, because a lot of reproduction houses aren't going to recreate a board if it's still under copyright law. So, I mean, just depends. But let's see. Okay. It says YouTube Punk says John's Arcade had a video about blank PCB boards. So there you go. Check out John's Arcade. He's got a good channel. So see if you can find one there. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where else. I don't know where you'd go. That company that Atari uses, though, may be the first place to check. And we talked about that company when we did that story, and it's been so long now, I totally forgot it. So. But if you look up the Atari reproduction PCBs, you will find that company. It will come up in your search. So, okay, Big D Retro. I'm curious, if I wanted to build a multicade with a PC, but wanted to use a CRT instead of an LCD, what special connections would I need to make it work? So, I mean, connection-wise, you need some sort of video converter, and so you can get like the Gambus video converter. Like they have the one that goes from VGA out to 15 kilohertz, 15 kilohertz arcade resolution. So, which is the kind of the reverse of the one that the 8200, which is the one that takes it from like 15 kilohertz to VGA, so people can use like standard off-the-shelf LCDs. It's actually it'd be the reverse board of that, which is usually a red color, is a little bit smaller. But you could use that. You could use you could just use there's certain video cards that with like soft 15 kilohertz or some of the other software out there can emulate 15 kilohertz, and then you just need a video amplifier board, which places like Ultimark carry. Holland Computers has a whole like board kit, PC hookup board kit that you can get that will that includes like the video amplifier on there as well as the control interfaces, and so you could get something like that as well. There's a couple of options that you could go with. It really just depends on what you want to do. The Gambus is probably the most popular by far.
Yeah, how do you spell Gambus? I know it has a
Gombes.
Yeah, it has a little kind of a strange spelling.
But you'd want the one that goes from VGA to arcade monitor, VGA to CRT or whatever it is, which is, like I said, the reverse of what most people are looking for. Most people are looking for the 15 kilohertz to VGA, right? Exactly, because they want to put LCDs in there. But yeah, very possible. The way we used to do it in the past was that we liked the arcade VGA, which is no longer made, and then we'd use a video amplifier to get that signal up to the board. But now there's programs and things that can emulate that 15 kilohertz signal, and you can just use a standard off-the-shelf video amplifier for that. So there's a lot of ways to do it, though. The Gambus is just nice because it's basically plug and play for the most part. You just plug. You hook the board, the red, green, blue ground sync up to the Gambus board. You hook the VGA output up. You're done. So
yeah,
and it has the video amplifier and everything.
And they're pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, they're like $30 or $40.
Yeah,
if you find them on sale, and if you order direct from China, like I like to do. Mm-hmm. So AliExpress is your best friend for that kind of stuff. So I just ordered some stuff from AliExpress. Mm-hmm. Have you seen these, Poppets, right? Like the little Poppet toys. My daughter got one that actually, what it does is it's an electronic game, and it lights up the bubbles you're supposed to pop, and then you pop them, and then you hit a button, and it brings up the next level, and then you pop some more, and it, you're trying to do it as fast as you possibly can. But apparently these things are very big on TikTok. I don't know.
Probably so.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I ordered one because it was cheap just to try it, and she's already got one that I think that we ordered from TikTok, but hopefully the AliExpress. Now my daughter does not use TikTok, Tim. I should say that, but friends, right?
Right.
You know how it is.
Some word gets around, doesn't it?
Exactly, it definitely does. Especially when you're a 10-year-old, Tim. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants the cool new thing. I mean, Poppets were the cool new thing. Remember when like all the fidget toys were real big?
Yeah.
And Poppets were really big for a while, and it just it's kind of the same thing. I remember when I was a kid, Pogs. Right? Uh-huh. That was like a thing when I was a kid. And Tim, I mean, you had, obviously all sorts of stuff like coming out. Etch-a-sketches. I was about to say
dirt rocks.
My mom would say, the pet rock.
Yeah, pet rock was a big
thing. Exactly.
Silly, but yeah, it's like fads and stuff always going through, but it never changes. And they'll be hot for a while,
Beanie Babies.
And then it'll be.
Yeah, golly, Beanie Babies. How about that, right? If you haven't watched that movie, I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
The Beanie Baby movie on HBO Max.
It's pretty interesting.
Now. Did you watch that one?
I've seen about half of it. I haven't watched it all. It's actually very good, very interesting.
Yeah, it was very good. And it kind of tells the real story.
Mm-hmm.
So, Anyway, okay, I think we're caught up on the live chat, so let us continue on with this question from Adam, Tim.
Okay.
So Adam says, I'm looking for help with a Time Crisis 3 machine. Everything was working fine, and then the left podium stopped responding. Game launches fine, but pedal, gun, and switches don't respond. I swapped the I.O. boards and nothing changes. Any help is appreciated. Adam. So, Tim, this is a side-by-side Time Crisis unit that you'll see a lot. I didn't put a picture of it. Actually, I think there's a picture on the next one. So there's a left and a right podium, of course, for each of the players, so you can you interact with each other in Time Crisis 3. And so he's saying the entire left podium is not working. So and he tried swapping the I.O. board, because there are I.O. boards inside of those podiums that interface with the main board. But even swapping the I.O. board still didn't solve his issue. So, Tim, what do you think is going on with Adam's Time Crisis 3?
Well, I mean, he did good by swapping the I.O. boards to make sure it wasn't that. But since it wasn't that, we're really leaning towards it has to be some kind of wiring issue. Now, they should disconnect. You could actually switch them.
Right.
And see if the problem follows. Then you would know the wiring is on this side.
Right.
If you switch them and the problem stays, and the wiring could be up inside the cabinet. But more than likely, somewhere where they connect or a ground wire or something has come loose. The fact that nothing works on it, he said, did he say all of the issues? Like nothing, right?
He said nothing. So,
so not even
pedal, gun, switches.
And switches, everything.
Right.
So that makes me work.
That means coin door switches probably aren't working. I don't even know. He didn't say anything about coin door lights, but that's common anyway. There's a start button, I believe, on it as well, Tim, so that's probably not working.
So then I would definitely look at the ground wires, the fact that it knocked out everything. If it only knocked out one part, we could narrow down. So what you need to do is find out the pinouts, and you could trace those wires, but somewhere under there, probably where it connects to the game or where the connection is made, you got a wiring issue.
I like your idea, Tim, of switching the actual harnesses, so actually taking the left harness and hooking it up to
without moving the whole podium. If I didn't make that clear, they should reach. You could just switch them, and that will tell you if the problem is in the cabinet or outside the cabinet.
Right, because he switched the I.O. boards, but he didn't say if he switched the actual wiring harnesses over.
Right.
And so that would definitely be a great place to start, I think. So let us go ahead and look at what I have on the outline here, Tim. The fact that nothing seems to be working on the left podium would seem to indicate maybe a grounding or wiring issue of some sort. Make sure that the ground wires going to all the switches on the left podium are daisy chained properly, because, Tim, we've seen this before in control panels where if I have a break in my daisy chain, all of a sudden nothing works, right? So it could be that. You may need to run a new ground directly to the from the power supply to the daisy chain if you cannot get proper grounding from the I.O. board. Same with the wiring as a whole, though. Make sure that you've got wiring connected all the way back to the main board. The I.O. board itself is probably fine since you swapped them. Okay, so with the other podium and experience the same symptoms, you might want to see if the connectors that go to the I.O. board to the main board are connected properly as well. And that's what Tim was talking about. Swapping those connectors and seeing if you get see if the problem follows it or not. Because that's really going to tell you whether or not the issue is in the podium or if the issue is back to the game board somewhere. So, Tim, is there anything else here for Adam before we move on?
I can't think so. Adam, just write us back if you have more issues or none of that solves it. I'd be surprised, though, if it's not a wiring issue.
Sounds good. So, Adam, hopefully that answers your question. And good luck getting that left podium on your Time Crisis 3 back up and running. Tim, I love Time Crisis. It's one of my favorite games. Love the pedal. I've seen some setups recently. I think it was on Reddit where people have done 2 PlayStation 2s and they have the PlayStation 2 game linked and running, which you can actually do. I have that set up. I've had that set up before and it works really well. And so the only thing is now you have to have 2 CRT televisions, which can be a little difficult to come by. So, but still fun if you can hook it up. But the only unfortunate thing with the PS2 is it didn't have a pedal, but you could hook up a controller and use any button on the controller as the pedal. So like if you just put the controller down the floor, you can kind of get the similar feel. Not quite the same as the arcade, but at least you have a sort of pedal and a sort of gun. So, but just a great game. Time Crisis 3 is really fun to play. All of the Time Crisis games are really fun. And we hope Adam can get his back up and running soon. Tim, we have Jumping General over here. He says, how many cabinets do you each of you have in your own collection, working and non-working? I only have what I have here in the game room, plus maybe like 5 in storage, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 13 arcades and 2 pinball machines, not counting arcade 1-ups.
Right.
And then about an extra 5 out in storage. So,
and I've went from 50 to about 6.
Yep.
And maybe about 4 or 5 that aren't working. So.
Yeah. I was about to say I know you still have the Blitz in your little shop area probably.
I do.
So I don't know what else you have. Like
I have a Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah, the Miss Pac-Man in storage.
And I have one in the garage. I have the 2 60 and 1s, a cocktail and an upright.
That's right. So
a couple other games.
I mean, Tim doesn't keep as many games, and I mean, I just have all the games that I've had for a long time now, and I've just kind of kept them. So I don't know if if I'll keep them forever, but I mean, I wish I could enjoy them more. Right now, there's stuff in here.
It's kind of like Lay's potato chips. No one can have just one, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
pretty
it
hard
depends.
just to have one.
Yeah, I think it is hard to have one. I think our friend Steve probably has a good setup for people who just want some show the basics. He's got like a horizontal multi-game, a vertical multi-game, and then like maybe his favorite game, right? I mean, you do something like that, I think it works out for most people. But yeah, Tim has downsized.
Very much.
Yeah,
so.
it's been a while since you've had a lot of games.
A long time.
Yeah, so.
For an arcade game.
Yeah.
Big game room.
He does have YouTube Punk says, I thought he had a newer, bigger home. He does. He just hasn't filled it with games yet.
Yeah, it's filled with other stuff.
That's right, exactly.
I got married.
He has a nice shop area where we put together the Blitz, and he's got a 3-car garage, which is super awesome.
I like to work on stuff more than I like to play them, actually.
Yeah. So
I usually work them and flip them or fix them and go.
Yeah, that's what we've been, that's what you've pretty much been doing lately, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, which, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know if, you won't, the games come and games go, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I may not have all these games forever. At some point, I may decide to get rid of what I have. So, it's never, I don't know if, I forgot. I have a cocktail, too, that's buried under there. A multi-game cocktail. So 14 arcade games, but I didn't count that one. But yeah. And, to be honest with you, like, the Blitz arcade one up is really good.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty easy to...
There's
there's not a whole lot to it, right? Exactly. So, I mean, I enjoyed playing it just as much as anything else. It's got the riser with it, so it stands just the same height. So, there's nothing wrong with the arcade one-ups, and they take up a lot less space if you don't have all the space in your room. And the room that he has it in is his workshop area, which is kind of tight anyway on space. So. Last time I was in there, they had a Christmas tree out. I guess that thing's like going to the attic, huh?
Yeah, we're just going by now. We're going to wheel it outside.
Is it just you? Is it your neighborhood too? We have a lot of people already with Christmas lights out.
Well, it's November. Look at it. It's almost mid-November.
I've got a turkey out front.
Yeah.
Okay, don't skip Thanksgiving, people.
All right.
I'm just saying. I don't mind if you decorate the inside of your house, but it may be a little too early for the outside. Just a little bit. So, have you seen the little memes online of people setting the little Santa inflatables with turkey on top with a sign that says, wait your turn, fat boy? So you gotta watch it. Don't skip Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays, Tim.
Yeah, me too.
What is better than eating a big Thanksgiving meal and watching that Cowboy game, Tim? What is better than that? There's not much in this world, I'm just telling you. So, okay, maybe that Rangers World Series win. That's definitely better.
Okay.
But, I like having a full belly and watching that football game.
I like time off.
Yeah, time off, too. That's right. Okay, Tim, let us move on to the next question from Kat. And Kat writes, I am emulating a Neo Geo MVS board for Metal Slug and had no idea what hard and soft dip switches were until I saw your video on adjusting dip switch settings on a board. I managed to configure the soft dip switches as I am familiar with the test mode in the later Sega boards, the Autonomous Wave, which Autonomous Wave is technically Sammy, but it's Sega Sammy now, Model 3, Naomi, etc. Since I am using an emulator on Windows, there is no real arcade board, I cannot find the option for free play in the soft dip switches for Metal Slug and Diagnostics, the test mode. Is it possible that some options remain in hard dip switches and not available in soft ones?
Great question.
Yeah, great. I mean, this is something that if you're not familiar with arcade games, or if you're not a real big emulator kind of person, haven't had a lot of experience with them, you may not realize. But if you're using MAME to emulate your games, MAME actually does emulate the hardware dip switches, and it has a menu that you can use to get to those hardware dip switches. And Tim, I'm just going to go ahead and put up this slide so she can kind of see, because I did some screenshots here, or I found some online that work. So MAME has a place to modify the hard dip switch settings built into the emulator itself. It is located on the tab menu. And Tim, I call it the tab menu because if you have the default control scheme in MAME, if you hit tab, it comes up. When you hit the tab key, it should bring up a menu that has the option to modify the hard dip switches. Now, Tim, it looks like the top, depending on what version of MAME you're using, if you're using one with the newer graphics kind of panels, then you'll see something that looks more like this top screenshot here that has the dip switch settings. So according to the hard dip switch settings for the Neo Geo MVS hardware, the free play option is located on switch 7, which means it should be selectable in this menu. Find the free play option on the dip switch menu, turn it to the on position, exit out of the tab menu, and you should be allowed to enjoy your Neo Geo games without having to insert coins. You may have to reboot. And when I say reset the emulator, in order for that to take effect, sometimes you have to do that. No different than turning off the game and turning it back on, basically. But once you do that, you should have the free play settings there. So, I mean, not, like I said, pretty simple, but a lot. If you don't know about that tab menu in the emulator, then you may not know about that. Now, if you're using a different emulator, those hard dip switches are probably there. It's just a matter of finding out where. Sometimes they may be in the menu bar up at the top. There may be an option for dip switches up there. Sometimes it's another key press that you'll have to do in order to get to it. Sometimes it may be in a file that you need to configure. So it's really just up to you as to how you want to go about that. But you should be able to find that dip switch settings menu or something similar in whatever emulator you are using. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else to say. Pretty easy. But yeah, I mean, what you're doing is getting into the test mode, which is no different than getting into the test mode of any board. But not all of your options are going to be in the test mode. In fact, on most older games, you're going to find that free play especially is a hard dip switch setting.
Correct.
So there you go. So Kat, hopefully that helps you with your question, and good luck setting the free play mode on your emulated Neo Geo MVS system. So Delusionals Arcade says, for me, I counted 26 games, 1 pin, tons of PCBs to swap into candy cabs. Don't get me started on spare tubes. Yeah, we got rid of all that stuff. We had a warehouse full. We cleaned it all out. We had spare tubes.
Only say a warehouse.
Yeah, an actual warehouse full. And we got rid of a lot of that stuff. We still have a couple of monitors and things in storage, but not nearly as many as we used to have. When you're not operating anymore, it kind of, it's like we didn't need that stuff as much, right? No. So, I mean, it is what it is. And Delusional has a Wurlitzer jukebox as well that plays 45s. I wish I had a jukebox. I see them for sale every so often, but I just can't pull the trigger on one, Tim. I just can't do it. So.
They're pretty tough to get going, especially if you want to keep it original.
Exactly. Nate says he has 73, but they're all being operated. So if you're an operator, you're going to have more games, typically.
For sure.
Because, I mean, you have places to put them. If you've got to swap out in and out games. When we were operating, that's why we had the warehouse.
Right.
Because we needed all the space for them. So, but it doesn't matter if you've got one game or if you've got 127. It's, have the games that you have, play them, enjoy them, all that good stuff. Right, Tim?
Agree.
So there you go. Okay, Tim, we got one here from Robert, it looks like, is the next one up on our outline. So let me bring that one up. Hi, I have watched some of your videos that are really helpful. Okay, I was hoping you could help me with some tips as to why my Pac-Mania arcade game keeps freezing and restarting. I have blown out the dust and checked the connections. I don't see any issues with the monitor, and I have a thick extension cord that powers my other games without issue. I only plug in one game at a time. Can you recommend something on the game board or the power supply that I can check? Robert. So, Tim, we have Robert here. Robert has a Pac-Mania game, and he's saying that it keeps freezing and restarting. So he will plug it in, and it's like it'll play, I guess, for a little while, and then it'll freeze or just randomly restart. And so with that in mind, Tim, what can Robert do in order to get his Pac-Mania board or game fully working without the freezing and the restarting?
Well, with years of experience, everything we've done, if a game is freezing up, there's usually only a couple issues that it's usually either the power supply or the main board, and it's usually the power supply that's not putting out the correct voltage. So that's why we talk about the ASAP approach, ASAP, always start at power. And we check it from the wall. You can even have an issue with your house voltage, for instance, or your garage voltage. So once we go through there, we run through the game, and we want to go from the switching power supply. And I know you're probably going to talk about this, John. This one kind of has a little different one, right?
Right.
But we want to see.
It's still switching power supply.
Yeah,
it's not a traditional.
Watch for voltage coming in and what outputs are being out. We want to make sure the 5 and the 12 volts are correct. So those are the areas that we're going to start at first. If that is working just fine, no problems, no voltage drop at any time, when that happens is when I would really like to see you have the voltage meter on there to see what's going on. Then I would expect your board, but more than likely it's probably your power supply.
Sure. So let's go ahead and look at this real quick. And even Delusional says, check your power supply. Yeah, so freezing and restarting issues with arcade games are typically caused by problems with either the power supply or the game board. One of our sayings here at Arcade Repair Tips, like Tim mentioned, is ASAP. Always start at power. If the game board is getting incorrect voltage, it can cause it to malfunction. Check the plus 5 volts DC, the plus 12 volts DC lines coming off the power supply to make sure the voltage is correct. Recommend checking it at both the power supply and at the game board. Pac-Mania is a JAMMA game, so you can use the JAMMA pinouts to check the voltage at the harness connector. Adjust the voltage if needed and see if it helps the issue. And Tim, I have a diagram here directly from the Pac-Mania manual, which we also link to down in the show description below, so that way you can check it out. Like I said, not quite like when we think about a switching power supply, Tim, we typically think about the built-in unit that has a nice casing around it and everything. This one has like just an open off-the-shelf style switching power supply, which you can still check the voltage on, and actually the manual shows you what pins are carrying the 5 and 12 volts DC. Awesome. So all you need to do is just unplug the connector, check the 5 and 12 on that connector, and you can tell what the voltage is going to the board. Again, though, if you have the JAMMA pinouts, which you can find on our website at arcaderepairtips.com/jamma.html, if you go there, then you will be able to, you'll know that the power pins are at the very top of the harness, pins 1 through 6, and you can check the voltage at the harness connector as well. That's another place to check it. But pretty much on Pac-Mania like this, more than likely power supply issue. So Tim, anything else that you have here before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
Sounds good. So Robert, hopefully that answers your question. Remember, we have the manual down below and the linked in the show description, so you can go down there and check it out if you need to, and that'll give you a little bit of a heads up as to where to check that voltage. So make sure you check those voltages, adjust it if necessary. Let's make sure that 5 is 5, that 12 is 12. One thing we will say about adjusting voltages, that 5 volt line can get as high as 5.1, but you don't want to go any higher than that. So if you're 5.05, 5.06, 5.07, anything in that is okay, but never over 5.1. And really, as close as you can get to 5, we may turn it up to like 5.02, 5.03 or something like that. But the closer you can get to 5 volts, especially at the board, the better, right, Tim?
Correct.
So there you go. So I think that takes care of Robert's problem. So we'll go ahead and continue on in our show. And Tim, we have Jumping General. I just picked up a Mortal Kombat 1 at a yard sale cheap. Turns out only problem it had was a bad power supply. Working great now. So common, right? Like one of the easiest things to fix a lot of times, guys, is game won't come on. Because game won't come on about 80% of the time means a power supply issue. Now, every so often you may have a monitor, like it may be playing blind and the guy doesn't realize it. You may have a game board issue. It's always a chance in that. But 75 to 80% of the time, if a game just won't come on, power supply issue, right, Tim?
A lot of times.
There you go. So it's always good to pick up a game cheap, though, fix it, and then get right around to playing it, right, Tim?
Heck yeah.
I just know. So I'm wearing Texas and you're wearing
Rangers.
Rangers. It's pretty
almost
awesome.
perfect,
it works perfectly here.
Even on the screen,
exactly.
It looks good.
So, hey, I'm loving it. I'm loving it, literally. So we can talk about Corey Seager all we want, Tim.
Oh, yeah.
Or Marcus Simeon or any of those guys, you know.
And we will soon.
That's right.
Stick around for the live show.
Delusional says, Midway MK games are very power hungry. They need beefier wires and very picky with voltage. This is correct. Yes, Midway games as a whole. So Mortal Kombat falls into that category. But I mean, almost any Midway game that you can think of, any of the 90s ones for sure, fall into that category. They need a big power supply in there because they do require a lot of voltage, seems like. So there we go. Now, Tim, I really like this question. I knew as soon as I saw this next question, you would know exactly what this cabinet is, because I did, and I didn't work with it nearly as much as you did. And so maybe we'll throw it to the audience to see, can you guys tell us what this cabinet is?
Name that cabinet.
Name that cabinet, okay? Because Candy doesn't know, and that's why she's writing in tonight. And so here we go. I was given this monitor/cabinet with no board in it. What would be compatible with this setup? It still has the innards. And Tim, this is where our show name comes from tonight. What do I do with the cabinet innards? I'm new to arcade games. I just got my Lethal Enforcers running, minus sound. But I don't know who to even ask about this cabinet. Any ideas? Now, Tim, I just read this. I've read this a couple of times, but I just read the fact that you got the Lethal Enforcers running minus sound.
We'll mention
Check
that.
the negative 5 volts on that, because that game in particular wants negative 5. So if whoever wired up your game, if that negative 5 volt line is not connected, you will not get sound. Make sure the negative 5 volts is connected in that Lethal Enforcers cabinet. But With that said, Tim, let's wait a minute here and give everybody a chance to see if they can ID this cabinet. So I see Nate says some kind of dynamo.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, Robert on the last one says, I found a ground wire not attached.
Okay.
Well, that would definitely do it. So make sure that you attach that ground wire back up on that last question, right?
Nice.
So there we go. Okay, so Nate Burke says some kind of dynamo. Tim, that may be technically correct in a way, but not really a dynamo per se. Mm-hmm. I would say it could have been manufactured by Dynamo, but it's not a generic Dynamo cabinet.
For sure.
For sure. Any other guesses here? We'll give everybody, I'll give you another 30 seconds here. So, but it's a very distinct cabinet, Tim. And one you used to have at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, there's a clue right there. Something Tim used to have at Chuck E. Cheese, a very common game. Man, I think I saw him at a lot of Chuck E. Cheese. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just yours. It seemed like there was one at every one.
I can remember. I'll throw a hint. One of the games on there was called Mech Warrior.
Yes, Mech Warrior is playable on this. This one looks like it has Star Wars Starfighter on it.
Yeah, a lot of them had roller coaster simulators.
Yeah, roller coaster simulator. I remember that on yours as well, Tim. Computer powered for sure. Another 5 seconds here. If we don't get any more guesses, I'm going to move on here, Tim. So 3, 2, 1. Okay. Well, Tim, enlighten us. What is this cabinet?
That is a sumo cabinet.
Yes, sumo. So, for those of you guys who don't know, sumo was a motion simulator cabinet. Mm-hmm. And so what you see here in this picture is only half of it. That's part of the thing that makes it tricky, is that this is only half a cabinet, right, Tim?
Correct.
We're missing the motion simulator part, which we like to call the bubble.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I'll show a picture of that here in a second, though. But, Tim, what can Candy do with this half sumo cabinet? What kind of things could she do with it?
Whatever she wants to, really. It'd be nice if it could be converted back to the original game, but finding that other half without the monitor is going to be tough.
Sure.
So in her case, what you want to do is up to you. You could put MAME in it. You could run an emulator base or a PC game. But without that other half, I was thinking maybe a Guitar Hero would be a good game or something like that. Maybe a Dance Revolution. But she really needs to find the other half, or just use a monitor, or whatever her creative mind can come up with.
It's kind of like half a showcase cabinet, right?
Yeah.
Like we've got the screen part of a showcase cabinet here. And that's kind of what makes it difficult. Nate also said some kind of cabinet could be turned into anything, not too sure. And you're exactly right. I mean, the problem here is we don't have a control panel, right?
Right.
And so doing a traditional game is going to be somewhat difficult without building a control panel or a pedestal.
We can make a good gun game or something.
Golden Tee, maybe. You get the pedestal for the Golden Tee and then just kind of connect it up, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different options here, but it's really up to you. So let me go ahead and put this up here, Tim, so everybody knows what we're talking about. This is what it should look like.
Yeah.
With the bubble. The motion simulator bubble. So basically, somebody just ripped this part off. Didn't I don't know if they took it for parts or threw it away or what, but they took away the motion simulator part of it. Tim just left the cabinet part. So what you have is half a sumo system. It is missing the bubble part that contains the motion seat and controls. It also looks like it may be missing the computer coin door and cabinet inserts. So the inserts tend to cover up like the little parts where the parts where the computer should be and everything like that. As far as what to do with it, choice is yours. If the monitor works, you could hook up a computer to it and either make an emulator-based system or a PC game setup. You will need to make some sort of control panel for it to play traditional arcade games on it for sure, right, Tim? Mm-hmm. But it could also be good for like a Kinect, like a motion simulator style game. Tim, I think this would be great if I put a Kinect sensor at the top and then hooked it up to play Baller Beats, which is one of my favorite Kinect games with the basketball. Uh-huh. So it tracks your basketball. It's a basketball dribbling game. I don't know if you ever played it.
Nope.
Or you could do a Guitar Hero style game like Tim mentioned, Dance Dance Revolution, a whole bunch of opportunity. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah,
Isn't that what they say? The possibilities are endless. So there you go. You can do whatever you want to with it. And so we will be looking forward to discovering what you decide to do. So whatever you decide to do with it, please let us know. That monitor is really nice. Hopefully it's got the chassis with it and works 100%. A couple of suggestions from the live chat. Let's see. Delusionals Arcade says make a pedestal for it. And Nate says make a pedestal, slip some joysticks and buttons on it, call it a day. Finding those rare parts, dance or writing parts will be hard. Now, here's the thing about like Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero has gotten more expensive, Tim. I don't know if you know about that. But guitars and like you put an Xbox 360 in there with some guitars, it's pretty readily available still and wouldn't be very expensive at all. Or you could do a PC like we talked about, pedestal cabinet, that works too. There's a lot of, or Tim, we made a music video jukebox out of
We
one.
did make one.
So you could do something
very
like
similar to that.
A lot of options. Like I said, choice is yours. You got so many options available to you here, Candy. You can decide. And we like your name, Candy. It reminds us of one of our favorite cabinets. So candy cabinets are awesome. So just like Delusional said, he's got a couple of those. Awesome. So, but let us know what you decide to do. We gave you some suggestions. Live chat did too. And I mean, choice is really up to you. Whatever you decide to do with it. The nice thing is that I think that's on rollers, right, Tim?
Yes.
So moving it around should be pretty easy.
Or sliders.
Yeah, sliders or rollers. So moving it around should be pretty easy. But you're just going to have to decide. If you want to make it into a traditional arcade cabinet, though, you will need to build a pedestal and a control panel. And you can sometimes buy those. Like I said, Golden Tee has pedestals now that are pretty common. But, just like I said, choice is yours. But let us know what you decide to do with it. We'd love to hear what you end up doing with that cabinet. And we'd love to see after pictures of it once you're done. So if you can find the motion bubble, you could do that too, but I think that may be hard to come by, right, Tim?
Correct.
Because, I mean, most of the times you see that cabinet paired. Now, to move that cabinet, you do have to unbolt them. Like, you cannot move it all together.
No, it's too heavy.
That's why it probably got separated from the motion part, the bubble part. And I say the bubble, Tim, like, some of them didn't have the bubble around them, but I know Chicky you guys did to keep kids from messing with other kids.
Some of them are just a seat. But...
Right, some of them were just a seat. But the controls that initially had were, think of like a throttle and a computer joystick. Airplane flight simulator style joystick. Yep. That's what it originally had. So if you're looking for that. So, well, Tim, we have come to the part in the show where we do the quick question and answers. So for those of you guys who are watching for the first time, this is the part where I throw Tim 3 quick questions and he throws me back 3 quick answers as to what those questions are. So tonight we have a varied selection of questions, kind of all over the map. And so let us go ahead and throw these at Tim and see what he has for us. Here we go. So the first one, Tim, we have is from Michael. What would the market value be for a non-working Xenophobe? The seller says he suspects a bad power supply, but who knows, right? Okay, Anthony says, when wiring an arcade cabinet using the JAMMA standard, is there no transformer needed? Do I need a transformer? And Dan says, I'm looking for someone to inspect and repair my Golden Tee 2005 boards. Thanks. And so is there somebody that we could recommend for that? So let's go to Michael's question first, Tim. What would a non-working Xenophobe go for? Okay. Maybe power supply, don't know.
Yeah, our best guess, as long as it's complete, is around $300 or less.
Yeah.
And that's based on, for what our research shows, a fine working one in good shape went for like $1,000.
Yeah, a pristine with an extra board set one recently went for $1,000.
So I would think that around $300 for a non-working, if it was complete.
And it depends on the cabinet. If the cabinet looks like it's been sitting outside tonight, where it's been rained on for like 3 days or something like that, maybe it got lost in the flood when Noah went through all that stuff. If it looks like that, it's probably only worth $50 if it's complete. Okay, right. Cabinet quality makes a big difference in non-working games. So if it's crumbling, if the sides are crumbling off, if the corners are crumbling, use that to your advantage as far as bidding on it. Make sure you get them down on the price, right, Tim?
Correct.
Okay, Anthony says, do I need an isolation transformer if I'm wiring with JAMMA?
Well, it doesn't matter about JAMMA. What matters is your monitor. Does your monitor that you want to run with that game need it? Right. And so that your monitor, what matters in that situation.
So in that video, Tim, I believe we did it on the multicade cocktail that I have, and that is a newer style CRT that does not require an isolation transformer. And so that's why you don't see it in that video. But Tim, most of the monitors that we're all familiar with, K7000s, K4600s, K4900s, Electro Home G07s, Sanyos. Most of those do require an isolation transformer of some form, right?
Right, most of them. So it kind of depends on the era of game. If it's 2000 and newer, you're probably not going to need one. Gotcha. Or error monitor.
And Dan has a Golden Tee 2005, Tim. Where can he get that board repaired?
Well, he can go to our resource page. There's plenty of people, but might want to try just the manufacturer, Incredible Technologies. Yeah,
Incredible Technologies may actually be available to fix that. But if not, we do have a lot of arcade repair technicians on our website at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. You can send it off to. We've got Raymond on there, Eldorado Games, Tim, Electron Forge. We got there's so many people there that can help you out. If you contact them, say you want to get your board repaired, they will help you with that. Now, Tim, that is a very common board though, so you may be better off just buying a replacement.
Correct.
So price the repair, see what you come up with, but you may also want to shop around on eBay or some of the arcade forums and see if somebody has a replacement for you. So let me go ahead and put this up here so everybody can kind of cover it. So on the Xenophobe, we would say less than 300 if it's not working, depending on if it's in good condition and complete. A pristine working one with a spare board would go for around 800 to 1,000, but broken is always a different story. Tim, we see these people that want to sell their broken games for eBay pricing. You ever notice that? You got to remember, non-working, it might as well be a boat anchor.
Right. And just because it's listed at $3,000, we want to look at the eBay, what did it sell for?
Correct.
Not just what somebody's listed one for.
Absolutely. On Anthony's question with JAMMA and isolation transformers, it depends on the monitor installed in your cabinet. While older arcade monitors require an isolation transformer, most newer ones do not. And in the one in that video, it did not. And Tim, I put this nice tag here that you'll find on a lot of Wells Gardner monitor power cords or power wires, where it says, warning, isolation transformer is required or must be used. If your monitor requires that, a lot of times that tag will be on there. But, after a couple of decades, sometimes that tag falls off, right, Tim? So make sure you consult the manual for your monitor, or seek some information online as to whether or not your monitor needs an isolation transformer or not. And then as far as a Golden Tee 2005, check our resources page, like we mentioned, at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. And you can also try Incredible Technologies at itsgames.com to see if they can repair it as well. But if they can't, we have a list of people who can on our website. So I think that covered everything. Anything else on any of these, Tim, you want to talk about before we move on?
Nope. Let's move.
There we go, guys. So there we go. So hopefully that helps out Michael, Anthony, and Dan. And just get back with us if you have any additional questions about any of those. And let us know. Tim, it's time for the discussion portion of the show tonight. And so we have several news stories. We had a lot of news, I feel like, over the last month or so, whereas I felt like for the October show, we were really light.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But we've had a lot of pinball news recently, Tim. Now, we should mention that if you are in the Houston area this weekend, you should go to the Houston Arcade Expo, which is happening. There's going to be a ton of games there, a ton of people to interact with. And I think some of these newer style pinball machines may be there as well, Tim. So, and Tim, have you heard about Barrels of Fun Pinball?
I have not.
Okay, well, let's talk about that real quick. So, Barrels of Fun is a new pinball company based out of Houston, Tim.
Nice.
So, film editor and director David Van Ness and retired collectibles executive Brian Savage founded Barrels of Fun Pinball in 2021. We know Brian.
Yes.
We interact with him we worked with him at Texas Pinball Festival for 1 year, and he's a really nice guy. He's big into that whole retired collectibles, like getting them reproduced and things like that, especially like G.I. Joe and things like that. Brian is a really good guy, I will say that. Van Ness got into the pinball business working for Spooky Pinball and said that he had a hand in the Scooby-Doo machine, Tim, which most of us are familiar with. Van Ness and a team of 20 employees and contractors have been working in a manufacturing facility in Houston, Texas. The company's initial product is a table based on the 1986 cult film Labyrinth, starring the late David Bowie. And Tim, you can see a picture of it here. It looks beautiful. It looks like any other pinball machine you would see now. This has kind of become the standard form factor, I feel like. Jersey Jacks are a little bit different, but this has kind of become the standard for most pinball machines made nowadays. And Tim, I'm not a huge Labyrinth fan. It's a good movie and everything. I don't know if I would go buying a pinball machine based on that theme, but overall, I do think it's pretty cool that they are making a pinball machine out of it, and that the company is based here in Texas in the Houston area. So
for sure.
But any thoughts about Barrels of Fun or Labyrinth Pinball or anything you want to say about this?
No, I'd love to see it, watch it. I'd love to play it.
Yeah, so hopefully you'll get a chance to. If you're at the Houston Arcade Expo this weekend, I think you will get a chance to play it. I think they're going to have maybe a unit there. I know that they did take it to the Chicago Pinball Expo, but I don't know if I don't know like how many units they had or anything like that up there. But I knew that they debuted it there, and so I'm pretty sure they're going to have some this weekend at the HAG as well. So the Houston Area Arcade Group Expo. So if you're in the area, might want to check it out. Maybe a good opportunity for you to play it. And Tim, I do think they may have some of these as well, which is Jersey Jack's latest pinball table, Elton John.
Okay.
So Jersey Jack Pinball released details of their newest title, Elton John Pinball. The game is based on Sir Elton John and his numerous musical hits over the past 6 decades. It is the first Jersey Jack pinball game from designer Steve Ritchie, who joined the company 2 years ago. It incorporates 16 full-length studio tracks as well as custom callouts by Elton. It's available in a platinum and a collector's edition, Tim, and it is expensive. I don't remember exactly what the price was. I want to say 10,000 and 12,000.
Okay.
And the collectors is truly collectors. I think there are only 500 being made or something like that. So, I mean, like what, or maybe less than that. I can't remember the exact numbers. If you go to the Pinball News Story, it'll tell you all that stuff. Tim, have you seen the table yet? Have you seen
I have
it?
not
Oh, it
seen
is
the
beautiful. It has Elton on his piano, and he plays, he bounces up and down, like a little figure of Elton bounces up and down on the piano. The piano has his LEDs like he has on his one in concert, and it'll show different like patterns and things on the side of the piano in LED form.
That's cool.
It is cool. Golly, it's got a lot of bells and whistles on it. I mean, I think Jack Guarneri just said, "Hey, Steve, whatever you want to do, man. Elton John, put it on there." And literally, I don't think I bet you they didn't cut anything. I bet they just threw it all in there. So,
nice.
It is amazing to look at. It is a beautiful machine. Tim, I like Elton John music. Big fan of his. I mean, not like hardcore or anything, die hard kind of guy, but I do like the music, and I think this is going to be a really fun table to play. I look forward to playing it. So, any thoughts about Elton John Pinball, Tim?
I can't wait to see it. I don't know but the screenshot of him does it. I thought it doesn't really look like the Elton John to me.
I mean, it's most of this is like in his younger days. Even the one of the little I can't remember if it's the collectors or the platinum or if it's on both. The Elton John figure is wearing his baseball outfit that's all sparkly. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
And so that's really cool. It looks amazing. Like, I can't imagine how much time and effort they put into this thing. And so I hope that they sell a ton of them. I hope that's a big hit for Jersey Jack. Tim, Jersey Jack just keeps making good pinball machines. And here's the thing, we're still in this pinball renaissance where new companies are coming out and everything's still rocking and rolling. It's amazing. And I hope they can continue. And I hope the market continues to sustain it, Tim. Because I thought for a while we were at kind of the end of the pinball bubble, but now we're seeing more companies pop up. We're seeing more tables come out. Hopefully this will continue. So
hopefully
I really do. So, but Tim, out of these two, is there one that you would probably want to own more than the other, Labyrinth or the Elton John?
Probably
if price
the
was
Elton
no issue?
John.
Okay.
Yeah, if price was not an issue.
Yeah, of course, if price was not an issue, because these things are expensive, guys. But I'm probably with you, probably more of an Elton John fan than I am of Labyrinth. If it was just a David Bowie pinball machine, would you feel different about it?
No.
No? Not a big David Bowie fan?
No, I like Labyrinth as much as I like David Bowie. I don't think that really factors in.
Gotcha. Okay, there you go.
I like the Labyrinth show.
Well, what about you guys? Which one of these would be the one that you would pick up if money was no object? Please let us know here in the live chat if it would be the Elton John from Jersey Jack or if it would be the Labyrinth from Barrels of Fun Pinball, or if there's something else that you have your eye on, let us know. We'd love to hear from you in the live chat. Let's see. Delusional says, I need somebody to make a Voltron theme pin. I think that would be cool. So I think I still want a Matrix, like a real Matrix. And somebody's working on a custom The Greatest Showman. I think that'd be fantastic too. Great music in that. I think that'd be a really fun one to do. Dragon's Lair pinball. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And so, I was trying to think of some other themes. I've wanted a UFC one forever, but I don't know if we're kind of past the popularity point on that or not.
What if they made a Texas Rangers pinball? You think you'd be trading in some pinballs for that?
I don't know. It depends on how good it is. They did that. Stern did that with generic NFL pinball that you could get themed for whatever team you had. And I mean, that one was okay. I didn't like the table very much, but I liked the effort that went into it, I guess. But there you go. Nate Burke says Pulp Fiction. Yeah, I still want to give Pulp Fiction a try. Tim, did you get to play Pulp Fiction?
I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I was about to say. So Pulp Fiction's definitely one on my list too. I want to try it. I've heard only good things about that one. So looking forward to hopefully getting my hands on that as well. Man, I can't remember. I think the last pinball machines I played may have been at Steve's place when I went to his place in Arkansas. So I think that was the last pinball machines I played, and so I'm way behind on the new stuff.
Me too.
I should have gone to the Hag this weekend, but we got too much going on. I'm too busy. So it's been crazy around here. So anyway, and Tim, here's the thing: I had a crazy schedule before I knew the Rangers were going to make the postseason, and I crammed all that stuff in too. So it is what it is. But Delusional says I like Pulp Fiction. I like the movie. The pin is underwhelming. So there you go. Like I said, I've heard people say great things. But I'll kind of save it. And he says he's tried it several times, Tim. So
okay.
I hate to hear that. So, but hopefully I'm going to give it a shot at some point, and we'll report back if me and Tim get to play it as well. Now, Tim, here's a couple of other news nuggets that came out over the last month. So this one was that Tekken Tag Tournament was developed in just 2 months. Harada says. Now this came out on Twitter, Tim. So the Tekken series is renowned across the world, and Tekken Tag Tournament is one of the most memorable titles in the series. Now, Tim, I have a Tekken Tag Tournament. I love that game. It's one of my favorites. Okay, in fact, it is probably my favorite Tekken, just across the board. So the project took 5 minutes to plan and only 2 months to develop the arcade version, says Katsuhiro Harada, Tim.
Wow.
2 months! That's crazy to me. Harada says the game made considerable profit because the cost was low. Tekken 3 was complete, and the management of Namco ordered Harada to release a 3.5 version within 6 months. So basically what he did was he took Tekken 3, they souped it up a little bit, added the tag mechanic, and put it out. And I tell you what, Tim, it's still my favorite of the series. And I played all of them, but it's definitely my favorite. Love this. And so to find out that they were able to do it so quickly, though, blows my mind. Because, it does seem like that Tekken 3 came out and Tekken Tag was not too far behind it, though. But it is my favorite of the series. I love Tekken Tag Tournament. It's super fun to play. It's probably the last one I really spent a considerable amount of time playing. When 4 came out, Tim, I wasn't a big fan of that. 5, 6, and 7 have all been good. It just... I don't know. The gameplay, I felt, got a little bit slower with 4. And so Tag was so fast. It just played so fast. It's so fun. So good stuff, guys. Before we move on, Tim, we have a couple of little comments here in the live chat. Delusional says, alone, Pulp Fiction is fine, but when compared to other pins on the market, I'd move on to another pin like Venom. So there you go. Nate says, it's hard purchasing a new pinball as an operator. They cost so much and need to be played thousands of times just to break even. All these pinballs coming out, I'd love to buy, but just can't justify. Let's see. Angelina says Tim sounds tired and wants to go to sleep. That's actually both of us.
I am exhausted. But
we've had a rough couple of. I was about to say, you realize that we were staying up all night watching games, right? Like literally, and after the World Series happened, I couldn't go to sleep that night, Tim. I stayed up till like 2 a.m. replying to people. So I mean, I had text from all over. Tim, it was amazing. But literally, I got no sleep because I was staying up for all the games, and they all happened at 7 o'clock. Got over at like 10 or 11, right? And so, it's been rough. Need coffee. Do you need some coffee?
I do need some.
I have some iced coffee. I can get you in the break. Do you like vanilla iced coffee?
I do like it.
Okay, we can do that. So, hey, give us a break here. We're tired. So,
Yeah.
and holidays are coming up. We're tired and it isn't even the holidays
haven't even
yet.
got there.
Halloween was rough, too. Halloween, golly, Tim, we had more trick-or-treaters than ever. About the same amount of candy I ran out at 8:15 instead of 9 o'clock.
Wow.
I mean, we got hit hard. We had a coffee truck. Okay, I'm not going to get into any of that. We had a coffee truck, like right across the street. Our neighbor had it come.
Wow.
And so...
Y'all were busy.
Oh, we were busy. And we had a taco truck over here.
Oh, wow.
So, but we'll talk about that more in the after show.
Okay.
So, stay tuned for the after show. So, Addams Family. Yes, love to have an Addams Family. If we're just talking about pins in general, me and Tim have talked about Whodunit a lot. I still would love a Whodunit. Whodunit's one of my favorites. And, Ghostbusters is really good, too. Right, Tim? Mm-hmm. So, it's like Ghostbusters is good. I love so many pinball machines. Nate says, is anyone getting YouTube ads during the stream? I got 3 of them so far. Never had an issue watching you guys. So that's a new YouTube thing. They're starting to put ads in stream.
Wow.
And I don't know how I feel about that. I'm sorry. We may just end up taking them off, but by default, it turned that on. Like I got a message saying, hey, we're going to start putting ads in your stream. And I was like, okay. And so I can turn it off. And so if it becomes a big hindrance, we may just have to do away with it, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Because I mean, they defaulted it on. I was like, whatever, and so I'll turn it off if it becomes too much of an issue. Sorry, guys. I have to wait 5 seconds to skip an ad to get back to watching you guys. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. So we may turn off for the next live stream. Sorry about that. Like I said, it was something they turned on for us. So, okay. Anything else, Tim?
No.
Okay, let us continue on. We got 2 more stories to cover here. Tim, this made big news. Every month I feel like we have a story about Atari.
Atari, yeah.
And they're really doing their best, I think, to position themselves as a classic/retro gaming brand, which I think is a smart move because I think, with the continued growth of retro gaming, Tim, it only makes sense for them to lean into that. They are a classic video game brand. They should lean into what their strength is. And they definitely seem to be doing that. And so Atari has acquired preservation and restoration studio Digital Eclipse for up to $20 million, Tim.
Wow.
So Atari continues its retro renaissance by acquiring Digital Eclipse, the studio behind their Atari 50, the anniversary celebration game, along with several other retro remakes. Atari said the deal will serve to expand its internal development capabilities and enable it to utilize Digital Eclipse's industry-leading experience and proprietary technology. Tim, Digital Eclipse has done a lot of retro remakes. They did the Cowabunga collection of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. They obviously did Atari 50, the anniversary celebration game. And so they've done some really cool stuff. And I think it is really smart for Atari to snap them up while they have the opportunity because they are a studio that literally is very focused on retro remakes like this. And so, again, just seems like the right move. Of course, Tim, we already know that they scooped up Atari Age. We know that they've been leaning in heavy to like reprinting arcade PCBs. Atari, to me, is doing all the things that they're doing. So, and they're doing the right stuff. They're leaning into that retro brand, and that's what they need to continue to do. So, Tim, any thoughts about this before we move on?
No, I was just surprised that they spent $20 million. That says they got something coming up. They're thinking they're going to get that back.
Absolutely. So, good stuff there. I think they will. I mean, if you think of, but here's the thing, Tim, now that they have the developer, think about all of the licenses they have, and think about all the games that now Digital Eclipse can remake because Atari already has licenses for it.
Exactly.
See, it just makes sense. It just makes sense for them to do that. So, yeah. So there you go. Let us see here. So I think I'm just going to leave that there. Real quick, I'm going to address this. Delusional says he had to turn off all midstream ads on his videos. If I'm working hard to make a video as you guys do, YouTube is not going to interrupt, it says. Yeah, and I think that's what we're probably going to have to do. We're probably just going to turn it off. Again, YouTube turned it on for us. So I was just like, okay, I guess you guys, I mean, here's the thing. They want to monetize everything, Tim. That's how they make money, okay? They want to put ads there. I understand. But it's like, if it's going to do that, it's not worth it. So I'll turn them off for the next stream. Sorry about that, guys. Like I said, turned it on. It just kind of turned it on for me. I didn't even really have a choice. I could have turned it off, but I was like, well, I'm just going to do it, and we'll see what happens. So for the next stream, though, we'll make sure those are off. We don't want to, like I said, we don't want you guys to get interrupted like that. So are we getting paid from YouTube? Nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, little of nothing. Delusional probably makes more than we do. I think he has more subscribers and more views. We get nothing from them, Tim. I mean, like, nothing. Let me put it like this: barely enough to cover the food that we buy every month. Barely, and maybe not enough to cover the food we buy every month. It's just
for
not
one
a
day
lot.
a month.
Exactly, for one day a month.
Not
exactly.
a month worth of
Exactly. I mean, I buy food just for the live show, and I buy it out of that account, and we barely make enough to cover our food out of that. And so every month for one live show. So obviously we're not making a lot of. I mean, we go out to eat once, Tim, a month,
right.
and that's what we're making is barely enough to cover that. So we're obviously not getting rich. We're barely breaking even, I would say. So it is what it is, though. You know, we enjoy it. That's why we do it. Now, Tim, this next thing here, I actually got to watch last night.
Nice.
And so we posted this, and I hope you guys have had a chance to watch it. If you haven't watched it, then we hope that you will. And that is Arcade Gamer, the True Story documentary, now available on Amazon Video and other on-demand streaming retailers. So Jordan Dorrington is one of the best arcade video game players in the world. He holds multiple world records in classic arcade game Galaga and is now eager to conquer Donkey Kong. The film follows and pursues his obscure obsession. So Tim, I actually watched this.
Nice.
It's only $5, so it's not going to cost you a lot, but it's also only 45 minutes. And I wouldn't say that it's a documentary as much as it's just like 45 minutes of following Jordan for a little bit. Okay. So if you guys remember, if you listen to the interviews podcast that I did a couple of times, I interviewed Jordan. I'm friends with Jordan on Facebook, and I've talked to him several times. Super nice guy. Super nice. Couldn't say enough good things about him, okay? And if you ever have a chance to talk to him, you should. It's just really nice guy, and that comes through in this 45-minute little documentary. For $5, it's worth the 45 minutes, I think, if you just want to watch. But basically, it follows him. It talks about how good he is at Galaga, but also how he wants to pursue a high score in Donkey Kong. So it talks about kind of his attempts to do that. So definitely worth your $5. Again, it's 45 minutes. You're not losing a whole lot. So yeah, and Razor Show says it's about JD Galaga. He's awesome. Yes, it is JD Galaga. That's his name there. So yeah. Real quick, Delusional says he also breaks even. He does it for the love of the hobby. That's why we all do it. Okay, YouTube doesn't pay enough. Okay, they don't. Now during the pandemic, we were making some dough. Okay, because everybody was shuttered in and had to watch stuff on YouTube for a while. But ever since everybody's been back out, we're back to being poor again. So, and you know what we did with most of that dough? You guys know what we did. We shipped it off to arcades and we bought T-shirts.
We did.
So that's what we did during that time. So, so all that money is long gone now. But, and actually I had to spend a little bit of money, Tim, because the laptop that we used to live broadcast, the battery swelled up. I don't know if you noticed last time.
I did remember that.
Kind of pop up. I did replace the battery in it, but that was $60.
Yeah,
so now we're
anyway.
Broke again. Sorry. So it is what it is. But we don't do it because we get money for it. We do it because we like you guys. So that's why all donations are always accepted, Tim, because we don't make anything. Yeah. So it's just really about having fun and helping people out. So, but Yeah, if you haven't seen it though, Arcade Game of True Story, the link is down below. You can buy it there. That the link does support us. I don't think we get much from it, but it does give it. It is a paid link, so we get a little bit of residual from that. But for $5, it's definitely worth your $5. And Jordan Dorrington is awesome. He's a really nice guy. Just seems very genuine. Tim, when I talked to him in that interview, which you can go back and listen to on our on the Question and Answer podcast feed, super nice.
Yeah.
Even before, like there's stuff that we didn't record, and just him and me talking back and forth. Super enjoyed talking with him. And Tim, I think he liked talking with me because we were talking about all the technical things, and at that point we talked about how low voltage may change how Donkey Kong works, may give you less barrels, may do some other things. So I talked with him about that for a long time. We talked about how other board modifications may do things. It was really fun. In fact, I want to do it again. I told him we would, but I stopped doing the interviews podcast. I love doing that, but the amount of time I have is like nothing, right? It's like this much. So I mean, cramming it all in between kids' soccer games and clubs and everything else that we're doing, it's super hard, right?
Very hard.
But if I ever get time, I'll go back to interviewing people because I love interviewing people, Tim. It's fun. So, but you can go back and listen to that on the podcast feed. I would highly encourage you to do it, and also check out his documentary, Arcade Gamer: The True Story. $5, well worth your time for sure. Well, Tim, I think we're going to wrap up the live show right here.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Let's go.
Okay, and we're going to go through all the stuff we normally go through real quick. We do want to remind you that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're always looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure you put a plug in for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. And so, Tim, again, we mainly do this for channels who may be on the verge of monetization. We want you guys to get over that hump. If you need more subscribers, more views to get there, that's what we're here to do, push some of our audience your way. And so if you have an arcade related video you'd like to share with us, let us know, and we'll feature it probably here on the live show. Tim, we did one a while back for Regzer, of course. We've done some for Delusional and things, and so we're always looking for those videos to help you guys out. We want to try to get you guys monetized. If we can help you in that, we want to help you. So again, feel free to send those to us, and if we like it, we'll feature it. And then, guys, we have our contact information. We have our general email at questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. If you put live show on the subject, you will get it mentioned on the show, or otherwise we'll try to answer it when we get around to it, or we may still put it on the live show depending. So, but again, easiest and best way to get a hold of us is to send an email to questions@arcaderepairtips.com. We also have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Of course, those of you guys who are watching live or who are watching this on YouTube know where that is. But if you're listening to this on the Question and Answer podcast feed, you may not. If you want to look up the YouTube video for this episode, you will want to go to youtube.arcaderepairtips.com and search for the episode number, in this case 81, so that way you can check out the video of it and also the after show, because we don't put the after show on the audio feed. And then we have our podcast feed where we have our live show audio. We have the interviews, like I mentioned, Jordan Dorrington's interviews up there. We have the question and answer podcast, etc. And you can find that pretty much on any podcast platform, but specifically on iTunes at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com, Spotify at spotify.arcaderepairtips.com, and Audible at audible.arcaderepairtips.com. And feel free to leave us any reviews on any of those platforms. We'd really appreciate it, especially if they're 5-star reviews. That helps us get out to more people. The more people who leave us good reviews, the more exposure we're going to get on those platforms. So again, guys, itunes.arcaderepairtips.com for iTunes, spotify.arcaderepairtips.com for Spotify, audible.arcaderepairtips.com for Audible, or just search for Arcade Repair wherever fine podcasts are aggregated. Does that make sense? Okay,
Right.
There we go. Then we have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. We want to thank Mark for posting some really cool pictures, Tim. He posted pictures of his new Pac-Man Crocs. Did you check those out?
Yes, I saw those.
Very cool. Hopefully you guys will get you a pair of those. They look really awesome. So we want to thank Mark for all of his continued support in that. And we also have our Twitter feed at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. Still can't bring myself to call it X, Tim.
Yeah.
It's still Twitter to me. It's going to be Twitter probably until the day I die. They could call it, whatchamathingy, and I'd still call it Twitter. So Twitter/X, twitter.arcaderepairtips.com will get you there. Pretty much same content in both places. I have noticed that sometimes the Facebook stories aren't getting posted over to the Twitter feed, so I'm still kind of working on that. Of course, when Elon broke the integration piece between Facebook and Twitter. It broke ours too, so we're kind of having to make it up on the fly. And we're using if this then that, but that doesn't always work real great. So hopefully I can work out the kinks though, and we can get that back to being in sync very soon. But again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com or twitter.arcaderepairtips.com to follow us on social media. So, Tim, we've got Big D Retro says thanks again for the live show and all of your tech advice. Till next time. Absolutely. Now, we should say that we do have an after show that takes place about 5 to 10 minutes after this show. So, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're live, then you just want to wait the 5 or 10 minutes. If you're watching it recorded, then there may be a chapter where you can just skip to it, to where you don't have to wait the 5 or 10 minutes, okay?
Right.
Because I've been putting chapters into the YouTube videos to let you guys get to your part of the video faster. And so you may, if you're watching this on record, then you may, that's kind of after it's already been broadcast, then you may be able to just jump to the chapter you want. But Tim, in the after show, no doubt we will be talking about the world champion Texas Rangers in that. We'll also be talking about Halloween. I mentioned that we had a taco truck and a coffee truck here. I'll tell you more about that. We will also talk about Thanksgiving plans, what we got going on.
Okay.
Tim, anything else that you want to mention? Dallas Cowboys. We can talk about sports. Anything other sports that you guys want to talk about?
I got a big upcoming trip.
Yep, big upcoming trip for Tim. So if you stay tuned, you can hear about that. I've watched some movies and some TV shows as always, so I can tell you about those. Specifically, Gen V, Doom Patrol, Lessons in Chemistry, Loki, and Frasier. Tim, anything that you want to mention that you've been watching?
No, I really have not been watching much other than I'll talk a little bit in the live show about one show that we've kind of watched with my wife. Other than that, I'll have to think. I know I saw a couple movies, but nothing major.
Okay, well, you can hear about that in the after show too. But I think it's time to wrap up our regular live show. So if this is your off-ramp, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. Big round of applause for the live chat, especially for putting up with the Rangers jerseys and everything. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you guys for being here, regardless of our allegiance to our baseball team. But we also want to thank you guys just for being here. It's always a good show when we have a good live chat here. And if you're watching this after the fact, we would encourage you to hopefully join us for the next one. Now, Tim, the last 2 months we have not been very consistent with our time. No. Unfortunately, it's supposed to be the first Thursday night of every month at 5:30 p.m. Central Time.
It will not be that on December. That will be in.
You'll be gone?
I'll be on my trip.
Okay, when do you come back?
I will be coming back on the 10th.
Okay. Well, we may have
We'll have to schedule with you guys and work on it.
Okay, I was about to say on the 10th.
Leaving the 1st.
Okay. So it looks like the first Thursday of December is on 7th. So we could do it the 14th?
It's if we're going to get to do it, yeah.
Or, okay. Or you're coming back the 10th?
I'm coming back there.
Sometime that week. Okay. So not the first Thursday. These last 3 months have been killing us, guys. Sorry. We'll get back. Hopefully the first of the year we'll get back to the first Thursday night of every month. Next month will not be the first Thursday night of every month. We will stay tuned to our social media pages and we will be posting the ad information once we have decided what date it'll be on. Maybe the 14th? Yeah. 14th may be a good day. We'll see. So we'll let you know though there. So anyway, thank you guys again for watching tonight. We hope that you learned a little something maybe and that you had a good time in the process. And we want to encourage you guys, stay tuned for the after show if you're so inclined. But if this is your off-ramp, like I mentioned before, thanks for joining us tonight. And remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when we fix the game,
you play the game.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you in December, or we'll see you here in just a minute for the after show. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
Okay, and we're back. It's the after show. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the regular live show. The only difference between the regular live show and the after show is that here we talk about everything. So we'll even take arcade questions here if you guys are so inclined. But most of the time we just talk about what we've been doing. This is really just mine and Tim's opportunity to catch up because I don't get to see Tim in person unless we do this.
Right.
Otherwise, if we're talking on the phone or we're messaging, that's about all we do. So it's kind of an opportunity for me and Tim to catch up and also to interact with some of you guys and see how everything went. So, Tim, let's talk about October real quick. Let's talk about what went on. Did you do anything exciting in October?
No, not that I can think of. Okay. We didn't. Our block threw a big party, and so most everybody was going to it, so we didn't really even hand out candy. We went to eat.
There you go.
It was kind of a quiet year for us, but we'll do that every once in a while. The kids were gone. Nobody was coming back, or Lacey wasn't coming home to hand out candy or anything. So we just thought it'd be a good chance while we could eat out while it's quiet,
Yeah.
Nobody was there with kids.
Hey, when you don't have kids around, I don't know if it's as fun. I think I'll always be the kind of person who will...
It definitely is more fun when the kids are around.
Yeah. I was about to say, I'll always be the kind of person who hands out candy. I just love to hand out candy. I think it's awesome. But like I said, we had more than ever, Tim. It was amazing how many trick-or-treaters we had. I mean,
so do you keep a count of actual treaters or the amount of candy by that much?
I had 300 full-size candy bars.
And they were gone.
Yeah, and then I had 3,000 pieces of candy, like the little candy.
Right.
Now, I give about 3 to each kid, though, of the small ones. So, I mean, what is that? I mean, that's, I don't think it was 1,000.
No.
But, you know what I'm saying? We had quite a few.
So, did you give out bars first and then switch to the other?
I usually give the little kids, like the little kids, I'll give the small candy to, because, it's like, they don't need the full-size candy bars. Yeah. Like, they're not going to eat them. And so, if I see and we have a lot of little kids. Mm-hmm. But, like, teenagers, a lot of times I'll give full-size bars, too. I have a saying, Tim, big kids get big candy.
Okay.
And I give out candy to teenagers.
We had a lot of teenagers in our neighborhood, I noticed, when we were going out to eat.
I give candy to adults.
Saw a bunch.
I had a guy who's dressed up like Bruce Bochy. Came to my door. I gave him a full-size candy bar. So, yeah. So, and you saw the picture of my house. I had the projector set up outside so I could watch the World Series game while I was handing out candy. So
I bet everybody else appreciated that.
Oh, absolutely. And then my neighbor across the street had the same, or next door had the same idea, and so he had it up on a screen too. And so after we ran out of candy, I went over to his house and hung out.
Nice.
Because he had like 15 people over there, and he told them all to bring candy. That's how come he didn't run out. If I would have told all of our guests to bring candy, I probably would have had some too. But we get a lot of trick-or-treaters. So our neighbor across the street here, he invited the Tom's Coffee Truck to come. So he was literally across the street. I had 2 cups, and it was awesome. And then there's a taco truck over on this side of the street. And so literally I had kids coming to the door with tacos in one hand and their candy bag in the other.
Nice.
Like they're literally eating and trick-or-treating at the same time.
Only in Texas, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just, it is what it is. It was pretty crazy. So, I mean, we just had... we had people everywhere. Tim, we had some friends come for the first time trick-or-treating with us. They had never seen it. This is how trick-or-treating was when I was a kid. We would go to like a cool neighborhood that was close to a school, and then there'd just be people everywhere. And that's really how our Halloween is. There are people. Now, we get lulls, thankfully. So, like, we'll have a ton of kids come, and they'll kind of die off for a little bit. And then we'll have a ton of kids come, and they'll kind of die off a little bit. So.
You give them full-size bars, you don't have a lot of repeats?
Sometimes I do. I try to catch them.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, most people respect it. Like, most people don't come back and do it again, which I, except for my little neighbor kid across the street. Now, last year, he dressed up like Babe Ruth, but Tim, he had a Yankee cap on, and you guys have to remember, that's like PTSD for me, okay?
Right.
Like, Yankee caps, like, for a Ranger fan, golly, that's just horrible things, okay? And so, like, I gave him a hard time about it. This year, he wore a bloody Ranger jersey, and he was Nolan Ryan. Remember you got his I was like, now I'm going to give you more candy this year, okay? So nothing.
He earned his bars.
Right, nothing against Yankee fans. Okay, only people who wear Yankees caps, Tim, are Yankees fans and rappers. Those are the only people who are allowed to wear Yankees caps, though. That's my rule, right? So if you don't fall into one of those categories, don't be wearing Yankees caps. Okay. So he wasn't a Yankees fan. He just dressed up like Babe Ruth. But hey, if you're gonna dress up like the Great Bambino, Boston Red Sox, bud.
Right.
That's what I would say. So let's do the Boston version. So. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. Had a great time. Lots of kids came by, Tim. It was amazing. Had the game up on the projector, just enjoying life. And hey, we were 10-0 in that game, if you remember. After the second or third inning, right? I mean, we were all outside cheering. It was awesome. So I don't know if we'll ever get to do something like that again. So
you got big Thanksgiving plans?
Going to actually, we've got a Friendsgiving like Saturday with our neighbors. We've got Thanksgiving on, what is the Friday before Thanksgiving? Whatever date that is. We have Thanksgiving at my job.
It's like next Friday.
Is that next Friday? Golly.
Yeah.
So next Friday, I'll do a Thanksgiving with my job. And then I think we're also going to do Thanksgiving with my wife's mom. And so my mother-in-law. And then we're going to do Thanksgiving with her sister and her sister's family. And then we're going to do Thanksgiving with my family. So how many is that? 5, 6?
Busy.
Yeah.
Lots of food.
Lots of Thanksgivings. Yeah, exactly. So lots of Thanksgiving stuff planned. Really looking forward to that. What about you, Tim?
Well, we'll have it at our house, which we'll host. We sent our son a famous Greenberg turkey.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Tyler, Texas is actually very famous for a turkey that you get. It's already cooked. You can have one shipped to you. An 8-pound bird will cost you about $70 shipped.
Yep.
And it is well worth it. Gobblegobble.com.
Yep. Gobblegobble.com.
Gobblegobble.com. If you ever want to see, it's one of Oprah's favorite things, so they always sell. Used to be a small place here when I was younger, and now it's like 6 warehouses or 6 city blocks that's just huge.
Yeah, the original building burnt down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to know or have a taste of Tyler for your Thanksgiving, you should look into gobblegobble.com. And they still can have time to ship you one for Thanksgiving or for Christmas.
I like Greenberg. It's very peppery.
Yeah,
that's
one thing. It's a smoked turkey.
Yeah, very peppery.
No cooking. You
no
just
cooking,
get it, open it, and start eating.
Yeah. So, really good thing to have. It's great for any holiday. Really enjoy Greenberg smoked turkeys. And if you live here in East Texas, you probably have one. Because I was about to say they have them at the grocery store even here. So, Wicked Arcade, you guys attending the expo? Unfortunately, no. I kind of want to be there, but I mean, golly, schedules just not allowing. So, unfortunately, so other October things, Tim. I obviously went to some Ranger games.
You did,
and I have some stuff.
Okay,
let's see what I got. So I went to the DS. I went to the ALDS, which was against the Baltimore Orioles, and there's a program. There you go. So I got the program for it. So I did not keep scoring this. Sometimes I will, but we had the kids there with us, and it's really hard to do anything with the kids there.
How did the kids do with the big game and a lot of crowd noise and stuff?
They weren't into it. I mean, we brought their headphones and everything, and I think they hung in there pretty hard until about the 8th inning, and then it was just like they wanted to go. So my wife actually was nice enough to take them out to the car, and I stayed till the end of the game because that's when we actually won the DS, right? We got to celebrate. We got the clinch, right? So so I stayed and saw the end, and she took them back to the car. These are some rally towels. So I don't know which ones are from the DS and which ones are from the CS. So
is that something they just gave away at the game?
Yeah, they always have the rally towels. I think this one may be from the ALCS. Does it say that on it? No, it just has a sponsor on it though. They're already a little torn up. They're cheap, So let's see. Is this one? Yeah, these may be from the DS, and the other one may be from the CS. The one that doesn't have the sponsor on it. That's the bag I took into the stadium. So I wanted to get an ALCS program. Like I said, I didn't get one. I can still order one. I just need to order
it was noisy, huh?
Oh yeah, it was loud both games. Now if I'm there, it's gonna be loud, Tim. I mean, I literally shout for like half the stadium.
I bet you're hoarse the next day.
I was very hoarse. After both games, especially after that ALCS game because that was the one where they plunked Adolis Garcia. And when that happened, boy, I went off. I couldn't help it. It's natural reaction. Dude, somebody hits one of your guys with a baseball. It's like, what was that? Right? So it was what it was. But yeah, I lost my voice I didn't lose it. It's just that I was talking like this for a while. So I didn't lose it. But yeah, this is about how it is, like when I can't talk. So yeah, I mean, overall though, I had a blast at both games. And like I mentioned, I had talked Tim into spending a ridiculous amount of money on a World Series ticket. And so we were going to go to Game 6. I was super looking forward to that. In fact, when the no-hitter was going on, I was thinking to myself, Tim, we're going to get to go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I thought for sure. And then all of a sudden, man, we got that one run. And all it took was that one run. And then in the 9th, tacking on the rest of them,
I would almost like to watch that game again.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Absolutely. After they tacked on Marcus Simeon's home run, I'm like, dude, this thing's over. We got it. So, and then they brought Sporzy out. Boom!
Yeah.
Got it. So, this has been a super exciting... all year has been exciting. We started off so hot. The Texas Rangers started off 20-10.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how we start off the first 30 games of the year. Okay, but after that we had injuries and we had issues, and after the All-Star break we started falling apart. This is a roller coaster ride. The entire last 2 months of the season, we go on like a 5-game winning streak and like a 7-game losing streak and blah blah blah, and it felt like we could never get anything going. And then the last day of the season, all we had to do was beat freaking Seattle one time in order to win the division, and we couldn't. And we had to go all the way from Seattle to freaking Tampa Bay, all the way across the country to go play in the wild card game.
Yeah, no home field advantage.
No home field advantage in the wild card. So literally, we beat them twice though. Back, bam, done, right? Mm-hmm. And so we were on to the next series. That was Baltimore, the DS. Beat them twice, bam, bam. We were at the pumpkin patch with the church, Tim. I had my earpiece in on my FM radio. And for those of you guys that don't know, I listened to all the games on my FM radio. I don't watch the TV. Even the World Series games, I am a radio guy. I like to listen to them that way. So, and for two reasons. One, the national broadcasters never know our guys as well as our guys know our guys, right? Mm-hmm. And so like Eric Nadell, Jared Sandler, Matt Hicks, those guys know our guys. They've been with them all season.
The commentating is better.
Exactly. The commentating is like super good. Two, I'm nostalgic for that because that's the way I've ingested baseball forever, I feel like.
It feels really old school, kind of like the way to do it.
And I can listen to a radio baseball game, tell you exactly what's going on, and I can be doing a million other things, and still, as long as I'm listening to the game, I can tell you exactly what the situation is. Whereas on TV, you don't get that because the commentators aren't giving you everything, right? Mm-hmm. They're only giving you like certain little bells and whistles here and there. So I always listen to the FM. So we were at the pumpkin patch for one of those Baltimore games. I think it was the second one on Sunday, and I had my radio on, and I just listened to him score all those runs, that grand slam by Mitch Garver and everything like that, and I just went crazy like right there, and then of course we went to the game 3 of that one, ended up winning the division thanks to Nathan Eovaldi, which was freaking awesome. Yeah. So, the second best pitcher from Alvin, Texas, Tim. Second best pitcher from Alvin, Texas.
Who's the best?
Nolan Ryan! So,
I knew that.
But it's pretty cool. And then, of course, so we took out Baltimore. The Houston series, golly, pins and needles the entire series, Tim. And that Game 5, like I said, that I was at, man, that is just ripped my heart out, stomped on it, thought this thing was over. Somehow we went to in Houston. And as soon as we did that, I was like, look, the Diamondbacks are dangerous, but it just feels like we got this. Yeah. And we did.
It did feel like
5 games, man. I was telling people this year is like inverse 2010. In 2010, we played the San Francisco Giants in the World Series. They beat us in 5 games. We beat the Diamondbacks in 5 games. Guess who the manager of the San Francisco Giants was in 2010, Tim?
Bochy.
Bruce Bochy, that's right. And this time we had Bochy magic on our side, Tim.
Maybe he's the key.
Yeah, but I can't say enough good things about our entire team. Like Nathaniel Lowe, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Josh Young. The entire infield is fantastic. Then let's look at the outfield, Tim. Adolis Garcia. Man, what about that guy, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good series.
Just a little bit, right? A pretty good postseason, man. Mm-hmm. Just amazing. Evan Carter, a kid who is 20 years old. They brought up at the beginning of September. Turned 21 before all the champagne showers happened, thank goodness. Okay, and says gosh a whole lot. Gosh, I don't know about playing in this World Series. Gosh, I'm just going to take it one game at a time. Gosh, this is really exciting. You know what I mean? If you see him interviewed.
I think that one thing that I think was the difference was the defense. Mm-hmm. Our defense was awesome.
And I'm forgetting Leody Taveras, our center fielder. He's in there too.
Had some very good defensive plays that at the right time, where it was third out or whatever it was, or robbed them of a home run or whatever it was. I think our defense really...
Can't say enough about the bench players, too. Mitch Garver, Travis Jankowski.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm forgetting. What's his name? I can't even... I see his face and I can't remember his name. There's so many, I can't even name all the players. And our pitching... Man, our bullpen had been terrible for the entire second half of the season. And somehow, some way, they came through in every game, Tim. I have no idea why. But Nathan Eovaldi, Jordan Montgomery, Andrew Heaney, Max Scherzer, who, I mean, I didn't even think would pitch, ended up doing decent, okay, at least getting through 3 innings in most cases. John Gray, what a performance in that game where he came in for Max in the World Series. John Gray, fantastic. Jose Leclerc, Tim. And look, he gave me a heart attack every time he came in. But Chapman. Man, Josh Spores. Golly, so good, Tim. I mean, it's just amazing to me. And Martin Perez, a guy who's been on the team like forever. Like, literally been a Texas Rangers, I feel like his almost his entire career. Had kind of a renaissance last year. we had so many long relievers that just really helped us out, and I'm forgetting like half of them now, but just really good stuff. I mean, they figured out a way to win, and it was amazing. And I never thought it'd be this team. The 2011 team was dominant.
Yeah.
They went in expecting to win. They went in like ready to just blow the doors off people. This team was a roller coaster the entire time. I never knew if we were going to win or whether we were going to lose. I had no idea if they would give up the whole thing or if they'd take it all. Yeah, it was just, man, it was crazy. So, so glad though that we won. Can't say enough good things about this team. So excited. Man, Corey Seager, Tim, that guy. He is Mr. October.
Yeah, I think so.
You can say what you want to about Reggie Jackson. I have a lot of respect for Reggie Jackson. I think Corey Seager's a little bit better, just a little bit. So, hey, he's shown it more than once too. So, Anyway, any thoughts, Tim? I'm done.
No, we're probably boring all of our audience with our Rangers compilation, but
you guys have to realize that literally this entire side of the game room has Ranger memorabilia on it, like this right here, and it always has. And I showed you guys my cutout in the after show last time, right? So I got a Nolan Ryan picture, Nolan Ryan, a little hanging thing. I've got like some Ranger plaques up here. I have a Nolan Ryan hologram cards over here. I have a framed photo of Game 3 of the World Series in 2010. I've got all my signed balls, all my bobbleheads, all sorts of stuff in here. An entire shadow box filled with 2010-11 memories. I mean, been a fan pretty much my entire life, and so for them to win it all, I just have no words except for that it was awesome, and I want to do it again. So let's see it, right? And hey, congratulations to Ron Washington for getting the Angels job.
yeah.
Okay, he deserved another shot at being a manager.
I believe so.
I hope that they lose more games than we do, but I can't say enough good things about Ron Washington. That guy is class. So
hard not to root for him now.
Absolutely. Okay, Tim, NFL stuff. Anything you want to talk about? Dallas Cowboys, we lost to the Eagles this past week.
We lost, but it was a good game.
We gave them a good fight.
In their home, a very good team. And we really should have won. And some plays that, Dak kind of stepped out of bounds. But you could always play coulda, woulda, shoulda, right?
Exactly.
But, we were in it, and it was a good game. So I still thought it was a well-fought game. Other than that, we're such a roller coaster team too. I don't know, how we'll pull out a couple surprises, maybe. San Francisco's still really good, but they've lost some games.
Yep.
I think the Browns are kind of surprising.
Who would have thought the Browns would beat San Francisco?
Yeah, and so, I think the Saints are better than I thought they would be.
Agreed.
Giants are worse than I thought they would be.
Agreed.
So, it's like on any given Sunday, though, you can't overlook anybody. Remember how the Arizona Cardinals beat us? I don't think they beat anybody since.
No, they haven't. Yeah, exactly.
And so, a lot of changes and stuff going on. I find myself...
Hey, what about Kansas City, Denver?
Yeah.
I mean, I
right.
I didn't see that coming.
Nope. So, I think it seems like a well-balanced year. I don't see anybody... The Eagles look pretty good.
Yep.
They have to be the favorite right now. But
San Francisco's still tough.
I wouldn't count anybody. There's a lot of teams still in it, and I like that.
Yeah, agreed. The parity is good, Tim. It does seem like there's a lot of teams that are still in it. And it's going to be exciting getting down to the wire.
And Cowboys kicker kicks 19 straight field goals.
You realize that guy was like an IT guy.
Yes.
Like they pulled out of like an office somewhere, and so now he's kicking field goals for
That's
them,
pretty amazing.
Exactly. So, any basketball, hockey stuff you want to talk?
Well, the Mavericks were off to a good start.
They
did lose last night. They're kind of like the comeback kids too. They tend to get behind.
Always watch the second half. Yeah.
Then they just kind of start gelling, getting together. But they look like a good team this year.
Yeah. And basketball, there's a lot of good teams out there, Tim. So, you just, snap
Too early.
Yeah, exactly. Too early. Stars are doing pretty good. They're off to a fast start if you're in hockey. And, I don't know if you keep up with MLS, but I know that FC Dallas, they're having a 3-game set with Seattle to basically play into the playoffs. And Seattle took the first, we took the second. And so whoever wins the one on Friday will get in. So, there you go. But if you guys have sports teams that you follow, let us know. I always like. Obviously we follow the Dallas teams because we're so close. But if you have a team that you follow that you're a pretty diehard fan of, let us know. I always like that. So, I think we're to the TV shows, Tim.
Okay, what you been watching?
Okay. So I've watched some quote unquote movies. They're animated stuff. I watched the Paw Patrol the Mighty movie with my son.
Okay.
It just came out on demand, and Mom and sister were out of town, so we're like, hey, we'll watch it. And it's a kids movie.
Okay.
and it's pretty basic. Like it has a very similar plot to the first one. I feel like that's just what they're gonna do. They're gonna crank these things out, in kind of a similar fashion. But I mean, it's fine for kids. It's not something I'm gonna watch over and over. And I don't think my son has watched. He may have watched it only one more time, so it wasn't big on him either. And he's 5. It may be better suited for some kids, maybe a little bit younger than him.
Okay.
Like
wow.
maybe 3 to 4, really. So, because he's getting into Pokemon now, pretty hardcore.
Okay.
So Pokemon is like he watches the cartoon and everything like that, and I think that's more his speed.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that the new Mortal Kombat Legends movie came out, and I forgot that I hadn't even seen the second one, which was Battle of the Realms. So I got Battle of the Realms. I watched it, and it's. I tell you what, those are really good, Tim.
Okay.
If you haven't seen any of the Mortal Kombat Legends, they're cartoons. Okay, and it's all animated, but it's all based around the stories in Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
And it's really well done. All of those Mortal Kombat movies are really good. The Mortal Kombat Legends movies. And it's done by the same animation studio that does a lot of the DC animation stuff. Warner Brothers Animation for that kind of stuff. So animation is good. Stories are good. Those are good movies. So they're not fantastic. But, if you got some time to kill and you want to watch something, definitely worth it. So... let's talk about the good stuff. So, Gen V, which is a spinoff of The Boys on Prime Video, Tim.
Right.
That was fantastic. Wow. The first season of that's really good. And it has a lot of cameos from Boys, from people in The Boys.
Okay.
Which is cool.
So
Invincible.
if you definitely like Boys, you'll like it.
Yeah, if you like Boys, you'll love Gen V. So it's the same kind of thing. Invincible, Tim, is a cartoon based on...
I haven't seen
it. It's a cartoon. It's kind of like an anti-superhero cartoon, too. It's got a guy in it named Omni-Man. He's kind of like their Superman. And but it's it kind of flips the story. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But the second season just came out last Friday, the first episode. And so it's really good. It's a cartoon. But J.K. Simmons voices Omni-Man, and it's got several other famous voice actors in it.
Interesting.
So J.K. Simmons, most people know from, if nothing else, what the Farmers Insurance commercials.
Yeah.
So, but you probably know him from other things too. So, Invincible's really good. First season was really good. They did like a little special on one of the characters that was really good. And again, it's kind of an anti-superhero style show, kind of like The Boys a little bit. So, Doom Patrol. They are running the second half of their final season. They pretty much already canceled the show, but they're just showing the rest of the episodes. And the last episode dropped yesterday.
Okay.
Or today. Dropped today. So I want to watch that. I'm all the way caught up. Tim, Doom Patrol was so good, but it is the weirdest superhero show you will ever see. I mean, weird, and crude and everything. But I have really enjoyed the ride.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's crude. The Boys and Doom Patrol share a lot of similar stuff. Okay, so if you're not keen on The Boys, don't watch Doom Patrol. It's actually probably more weird. So, but I have loved it. The first season of Doom Patrol is by far my favorite, though. It is really good. So, but all the seasons are good. I've enjoyed the whole thing. Let's talk about Lessons in Chemistry with Brie Larson on Apple TV, Tim. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so we watched the first 3 episodes. There's more available right now. It's really good. It's about this, basically it's about this woman who is a scientist, a chemist, Tim, and she's right about a lot of things, but nobody will listen to her because it takes place kind of in the 1950s and 60s, and women scientists aren't taken seriously, right?
Yeah.
And so that's basically what it's about. And so it kind of, that's the beginning of it, but we know where eventually it leads to her kind of having her own cooking show.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how it all connects, but anyway, there you go. YouTube Punk says the Pokemon cartoon's still going. It is! Now, Ash had his final episode recently.
Okay.
The last episode with Ash. And I know my brother, when he was a kid, watched Pokemon with Ash, right?
Okay,
I mean, literally, it's been going that long. But it is still going with new characters now, and Ash is no longer in the picture. But we are still watching the older episodes, like the kids are. So, but it is still going. Loki on Disney Plus. Can't say enough good things about that. Tom Hiddleston, Tim. I mean, he does that part so well. And then it also has, what's his name from so many, like, Wedding Crashers and everything. What's his name? Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, I'm tired too. But it's got him in it too and all that kind of stuff. Good. And then Frasier, Tim. The Frasier reboot on Paramount Plus.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Have you
Yeah.
seen it? And
I
they're
haven't
actually
seen
showing it
yet.
on CBS now. You don't even have to have Paramount Plus if you have
Okay.
cable. So, not as good as the original Frasier,
Of course.
but still enjoyable.
Okay.
I like sitcoms.
a lot of the same characters.
Yeah. No. None of the same characters
None
except
of
for
them.
Frasier.
Wow.
That's it.
No brother. No.
Takes place in Boston.
Okay. Interesting. So kind of like his time when he was in Boston, I guess.
Right, exactly. So he ends up reconnecting with his son, which you remember them mentioning in the original series, and we saw maybe some different actors play, but in this one, his son is grown up.
Okay.
Okay, Freddie.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So it's really interesting, though. It's good. I mean, if you like sitcoms, you'll like it.
Okay.
You like sitcoms, you'll like it. So, okay, Tim. Nothing?
No.
You haven't been watching anything?
I have not been watching much of nothing. I have been working. That's why I'm so tired tonight, y'all. I'm sorry. I've been just working like a mad dog. I'm tired.
Golly.
And that's it. All I can say is I did see the Duck Dynasty Phil Robertson movie. I can't think of the name of it. See, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
It was good. It was okay. Been watching sports, and that's about it. Sports. My wife and I have been watching some of The Golden Bachelor, just because we never watched The Bachelor, but it is kind of funny if you've ever seen it, because the old women in it, they really get catty with each other.
Oh, gosh.
It's kind of a drama thing. That's about it. I hadn't had much chance of all to watch other.
Jason's Arcade Plus says, howdy y'all from Florida.
Well, hello,
hello.
Jason.
Florida, sunny Florida. I wish I was there right now. So, yeah, so The Golden Bachelor, I have not seen any of it. I know the formula for The Bachelor,
Right.
unfortunately.
It's a little twist,
Okay.
and because he's older,
Right.
and not looking for a booty call or something. He's looking for real romance and to live out his golden years. His wife of 43 years passed away.
Oh.
And it's been a few years. And a lot of the people that he's dating that want to be on the show, they've had similar experiences.
Sure.
So they connect with him like that. But it is kind of interesting that no matter what age, people still get a little catty and stuff. And it's kind of got some parts in it that are kind of funny.
Absolutely. Well, I was curious about it, but not curious enough to tune in.
Yeah.
So I think you told me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do want to go see. I mean, there's a lot of movies I want to see. I just haven't had time to see anything.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
I mean, it's like I want to go see movies, but I just
that really takes time.
exactly
Too much time.
I mean, it is what it is. And
Yeah.
Like I said, we've been busy. So I mentioned to Tim, I went to go see Danny Goki. Here, actually, it was in town about 45 minutes away, and Tim, Danny Goki, he's got a great voice, okay, if you remember him from American Idol. But I didn't go so much to see him as I went to go see the two little younger upstarts that were with him, and Austin French and Natalie Lane, and they did really good. And so I'm glad I went just for them. Danny Goki was Danny Goki, so there you go.
Okay.
But I was trying to think of what else we've done since then. I mean, golly, I feel like I've been running everywhere. I feel
Me
like we've
too.
been so busy and doing things. I went to Dallas one weekend and we visited her sister, and then it's just we've been all over. So at some point I will rest, but probably not till we're dead. So,
Yeah.
right, Tim?
Not tonight.
So, and you're going on a trip. Did you tell everybody?
Well, no, I am going to Germany,
There you
back
go.
to Germany, to Cologne, Germany for a week in December. Remember, my German friends came here for Thanksgiving last year, so we are going there for kind of Christmas, the Christmas time,
Right.
where it's a lot cooler there. Last time we went was in the middle of the summer, and so we're looking forward to heading to Germany first day, December 1st.
So the last two times we had to reschedule, it was definitely my fault. This time it's Tim's fault.
Yeah, I'll take this one.
Exactly. So we'll
Not
try
turning
to.
them tickets unless we did it remote, and it would be about 4 a.m. or something.
Yeah,
so-
there you go. We don't want to do that to Tim. So we'll wait till you get back, though. We can do it. We can do it on the 14th. If we
Hopefully
need
so.
to. So I mean, we'll just see. Yeah, because it's kind of late because the 1st is on Friday.
Yeah.
Right? So it'd be the 7th would be the, and I don't like to do the live shows in January like on the first or on or near the 1st typically, just
Right.
because we have New Year's and everything going on. So we'll just see about how the scheduling's all going to line up. But there will be a live show in December, and we'll
At some
have
point.
we'll have our Christmas show and all that kind of stuff. But we do hope that you guys have a great Thanksgiving. So hopefully you have a lot of family or friends to hang out with. And if you don't, find some people, Tim. Our church, they always have a Thanksgiving for people who don't have family anymore,
Nice.
or have family that's too far away or
Nice.
something like that. And so like anybody can go, but it typically ends up being the people who don't have another place to go for Thanksgiving. My company does the same thing. That Friday before Thanksgiving, all of the employees get together for lunch and we eat Thanksgiving lunch. And that's because a lot of employees don't have anywhere to go on Thanksgiving, and that's like their only Thanksgiving that they get. And a lot of times, the ones that don't have that get to take the leftovers home too, so they can eat it on Thanksgiving. So, but it's tough. I mean, it can be a tough time, especially if you're having difficulties with your family, or if you don't have family around anymore. Maybe you've had family that passed on or whatever. Sometimes, this is a hard time for people. So if you're going through a difficult time, remember you can always email us at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. We take more than just arcade repair questions there. So if you just want to reach out and talk to somebody, we can do that sometimes too. So, but we hope that you do have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll be back before Christmas at some point, and we'll or Hanukkah or whatever else you celebrate, Kwanzaa, whatever it is. We'll be back before that, and we'll have our holiday show at that point. So
yeah.
Tim, anything you want to say before you head out?
No, need to go. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Those of you who stuck around this long, again, we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. You guys have a great night. Take care. We'll see you sometime in December. Won't be on the first Thursday of the month, but we'll get it scheduled. And once we do, check our social media. Make sure you find out there. So see you guys in December. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.